That was intentional. Good hit. Good hit. Well guys, welcome to part 2, the night course, as we'll call it, for the review of the American Defense Research Mawl C1 Plus clone. Now, the Mawl C1 Plus clone, I've already talked to you guys a lot about it in the previous video, so we're not quite going to nerd out and geek out over it. But what we are going to do is give a little preface and talk a little bit about what we're going to do tonight. So tonight we are going to go ahead, get under nod, and we're going to be recording from 2 different POVs. The first POV will be a mission recorder that I run on the Anvis. This is the one that kind of crapped out on us last time. We've reformatted the cards, fully charged the camera, everything should be good to go. The second one we're going to be utilizing is a digital night vision camera from Psionics. Now, not the greatest, I know, they require a lot of IR light. But what that kind of means to me is if it requires a lot of IR light, it should pick up IR lasers of full power really good. And it should demonstrate this pretty good across the different scenes. So if we're really trying to determine or teach you and show you what the cutting power is of these lasers, I personally feel like the Psionics may have the cutting edge to really see if we can see and identify targets down at 270 yards, 170, 125, and then we can also cut and see what it looks like with the Mawl flood. Because remember, those who are going after the Mawl, they're going after it because they want that dual illumination. They want to have the one button for flood, they want to have the second for long and reach. Now, we didn't go a lot over the button controls, so we're going to go over that later during the video while we're actually filming at night. But by and large, you've got a slider that has 3 positions. You have a low, a mid, and a high. Then you have 2 buttons, buttons A and B, which operate independently. You can always go into high mode with both the buttons by simply triple clicking. A triple click on the button on the front is just like putting the slider into high mode and then single clicking there. But tonight, let's find out just how they look under nods. We've already done the burn test. Everything is still surviving. We still have our 0 hold on the Mawl. Kudos to that because we have pulled it off and replaced it a few times. But once the sun goes down, let's get those recorders out and see what happens. All right, guys, welcome to the section where we're going to kind of go over the Mawl unit itself, and I kind of want to go over some of the functionality so that you guys can know how to use this thing. After all, when you're under nods, you really have to know all of your controls in advance because you're not going to be able to sit there and fumble when you're trying to do it in the heat of the night, or in the moment, we'll call it. First things I want to point out is some of the build quality features. It is a solid metal unit. There's not a lot of plasticky bits on here. You do have a plastic bit here, and you have a plastic bit here, which is your safety for your mode select. And then you've got a rubberized element here, so if you do drop your gun, which we did a drop test on this thing, and it really didn't take any marks. Surprisingly, my suppressor itself got a nice little scratch in it, but this guy stayed pretty good. Up here, you have your more or less mode selection. So it's gonna rotate, and it rotates very tactile, very easily, very smooth, and you get used to how it functions. Now, what's going on there is it's actually exposing the different elements of your device. When you're in the IR mode here, you're gonna see that you have 2 LED-based IR illuminators. These are your 2 different floods. One is a little bit more focused, a little bit more broad rather, and a little bit less power. Then you have a higher power one that is gonna be your wider spread. So underneath here is where we have our VCSEL illuminator. This is going to be what we use for our long range when you're in the either high mode or long mode, or when you're basically triple clicking. And then of course here is where our IR laser is actually coming out, which again is just a regular laser diode. Moving on to the actual controls themselves, you have 2 buttons, usually referred to as button A and button B. I'm simply going to refer to them as the front button and the back button. Then we're going to have our mode select. This goes into 3 positions. All the way towards you is considered short. There we go. When we go into the mid position here, you'll get a nice little tactile click. And then you can't go into the high position unless you push down on the safety lever, push all the way up, and now we are in the high mode. All right, guys, now we need to go over the disassembly to be able to revert from left to right-handed configuration, or left to right side laser, whatever you want to call it. Now, I actually found this because I looked up some instructions from the official Mawl. It's close to being the same, but it's a little bit different. We've got this Allen set screw back here, which is essentially going to hold the battery cap wire in place, which has our little, essentially locking pins. Now we're going to remove the battery cap, which already had it loose. Battery comes out. Now, what you can see is this is almost like a little shelf, and it's going to push up and out. Once we've done that, we're able to simply give it a little pull, Be careful, those are sharp. Ask me how I know with my bloody hand. We're gonna turn it around and do the same on this side. Give it a little pull. Now, once you have it basically in the configuration you want, which you just spin this around, you go ahead, insert in, locks into place once you put a little pressure on it, but we're not gonna do that because I don't wanna get it set up in that configuration, so we're just gonna go back to the normal config. Goes in the 2 holes, locks in, goes in, locks in, everything gets nice and back in place. We're gonna go ahead and take our battery cap, spin it back around. That was the easiest part earlier, now it's being more difficult. Battery goes in, positive terminal goes up, screw things back down, and you are back in business with our laser being good to go. All right, and with the Mawl, let's start in the low position. So that is our flood, which should make your video look nice and good. Yep. And then that's just low laser. All right, let's walk a little bit towards the ID target. So this is the flood mode for CQB.
You're right. Okay, I'm going to.
Yeah, it looks really good. Be careful with all these like lasers on metal. So again, this is flood mode. Go hot. That was intentional. I was shooting fasty. All right, so flood mode, you can scan the target. Okay. And then we're in low mode now, so this is low laser. Nice hit. Keep going. Good hit. Good hit. So with the Mawl C1 from American Defense Research, this is the clone, right? It's one of the more realistic clones on the market simply because a lot of the ones out there that people are offering from China have a white light on it, essentially. So the white light is not present on this guy. Instead, what it has is the VCSEL, as we discussed, illuminator, which again, don't really get it from a Chinese standpoint. We're buying into full power already. We don't absolutely need to go VCSEL, but it's cool to have because it's more clone correct. But it also has the 2 low power IR, which is what we're seeing when we go into this mode. So this is the low flood. And of course we can get right onto paper right there with a nice little double tap. And yeah, if we're on the same mode, again, we're in the bottommost position on the lever. We have low laser, or flood with low. We're gonna go ahead and pop up now into the next stage, which is what's called mid or medium. So now we're gonna get a little bit brighter flood, and we're gonna get the same laser. That actually is very noticeable. That's actually a lot brighter flood and more usable. I never noticed that the second illuminator was actually really nice. I mean, we've got an animal crossing the path. I don't know if your camera's picking it up or not.
No.
It's right on my laser.
Freaking idea. We can pop it.
I mean,
Hey, don't shoot a deer.
No. It's raccoon.
Oh, okay.
Raccoon or possum. Whatever's more common out here. Anyways, so that's actually really nice. So we're approximately, kind of hard to tell, maybe 10 yards from that ID target, maybe a little less, 7 yards. So in a CQB, this is really nice. Low, but medium, that's pretty good. Now we're gonna go ahead and go into the top position. So top position on the Mawl is when we put our safety lever down and we push it fully forward. Now when we use the farthest button, we get our the tight beam. This is supposedly the VCSEL illuminator. I say that it has some truth to that because I see rings around it, which is consistent with that diode system. Oh, I'm out. Yes, I am. Well, let's get some ammo and get back to it. So this is front button. This is back button. Back button is just laser. Front button. Let's see if we can get it connected to 270. It doesn't get old, especially when you hit it that first try. So, if you couldn't tell, I was aiming, that was with the Mawl illuminator laser, and I held about 2 foot above its head, and we made contact. I'm gonna not try again because that's just so cool. But we'll go ahead and we'll still see if we can hit something else. Let's see what else there is. Let's try the 200 gong. There it is. So I was aiming a little bit high, but apparently I just needed to hold right onto the gong. So 200, 5.5 inch AR, guys. I'm telling you, y'all are sleeping on this stuff. So let's go. Well, I've got to have illuminator because I can't really see. There we go. I got to be very careful because there's a dueling tree. So I don't want to hit that. Again, so guys, I have tested a lot of lasers. I've tested a lot of Somo gears. I've tested the NGAL from Somo gear, the NGAL from ADR at this point, laser speeds and everything else. Laser speeds, love them. Somo gears, love them for what they are. But I have absolutely beat the mess out of this Mawl. I have heated it up far higher than you would ever expect to in a normal situation. We're using a 5.5 inch AR, and I mean, it's just, the zero's still on. I set this zero day one, put it on the gun, went outside when it got a little bit dark, Viz laser, lined it up with my optic, never changed it since. That zero is still just, oh my gosh, it's so good. I knew I shouldn't have done it again because it was going to take a couple more shots, but that, I mean, 270 yards on hip fire is not an easy, I don't think it's easy. Maybe it is easy and I'm just over exaggerating, but I don't know. But let's go ahead. We're going to clear the gun and let's just go into the ID and let's go ahead and take a look and see how it compares to a couple of the other lasers that we brought. Because I do want to point out that while the Mawl is pretty great and honestly gets a great recommendation from me, we really need to see, there is bugs on that. There's still bugs on that. All right. We want to see how it looks in comparison to the NGAL from ADR as well. There we go. If we compare that to high on the NGAL, I'm sorry, the Mawl. So this is our ADR NGAL here. Honestly, they look pretty similar on brightness at the closer range right here on this tree, but cutting down at the 270, I think the Mawl actually is a little bit brighter. It's a little bit better. Now, of course, with the NGAL, we get to punch. And we can see that our zero alignment starts to break, which the cool thing about the Mawl is it's 1-0, right? All right, guys. So the next thing y'all wanted to see is a drop test. Never actually dropped this gun because I don't like to abuse my guns, but, you know, we'll just do it. The gun's clear. Action's open, so no issues there because it's a hair trigger. We're going to go and just try and drop it right onto the laser. Now, we'll pick it up, kind of wipe some stuff off. So we're looking through our optic, and we're still perfectly in line. See the dot on the optic? No change in that. God bless. I actually dropped it unintentionally that time. Oh, I caught the suppressor with my finger. Well, that's another fingerprint that I'm going to lose to the suppressor. This dang suppressor gets so hot, guys. And still pretty dang spot on. So, don't take my word for it. Let's load up a couple things and see what we can do. I mean, 200 first try on that one, guys. Okay, 3 shots again for 270. And that is after we did our drop test. Now, I know it wasn't the most abusive, but it was on hard ground. And everything still, I mean, looking through our optic and all of that, just points right to it. All right. All right, guys, we have concluded our night filming. Hopefully this footage doesn't get MIA, but if it does, I'll try and throw something up for you guys so that we can get this thing wrapped up so you can get thoughts and opinions out to you guys. Final thoughts. I love the Mawl. So it has 3 modes. When I was doing my initial testing, I could really only tell 2 different modes, the flood and then the spot. However, for some reason tonight, maybe just different, I guess, cognitive awareness of everything, I could actually see the secondary flood mode working quite well. So you have 2 LED illuminators for flood, one for a lighter up close, in your face 5 to 10 yards, or maybe CQB, CQC if you're inside an interior of a building, and that one worked okay for out here. You can see the footage that will show what it is. And then we had the medium mode, so when you go into the medium or the second click on the top rail, and you push that flood button, now you actually got a really nice and quite pleasing flood. And you still had your IR laser, so you were still able to get on point, and it was effective probably to about 25 yards, so I really like that. And then of course you have override functionality, so clicking 3 times on either of the buttons will do as if you had the switch all the way in the forward position and high, which gives us our punch out illuminator and laser, and honestly that thing beams quite well. I would like if it was adjustable, but the real one isn't, so why do I have the expectation from the Chinese clone? Now, changing your settings is quite easy. You just flip the little lever up here and go into the off mode, the vis mode, or all the way around for your IR. Consequently, on the actual Mawl, when you do this, it has a magnetic sensor inside that is telling the unit to go into whatever mode it is, and you'll have an indicator light on the back that you can see. Now with the clone, there is no magnetic sensor, there is no indicator light, but that's a good thing because that means when I leave it in the vis position, I'm not overly worried about phantom drain. In fact, I left it in vis ever since the last time we filmed, just because I want it always hot and ready in case I need to use white light. So that gets another pro category. Next, we did do a drop test for you guys. We dropped it twice, in fact, once on purpose, once on accident because we bumped the suppressor. I mean, I was debating on dropping it a second time. And then we picked it up and we hip fired with the laser all the way out to 270 yards, making contact yet again. And all in all, I mean, zero has not been affected from the original time that I zeroed it with my optic at infinity. Now, how you zero lasers is up to you, but there are different ways you can do it. Now, I don't know the exact specifics of what MOA difference you have of convergence between the IR and the vis, but I can tell you that I did my initial actual zero with the vis laser, and I've never had to change it since. And that includes the 1,000, now 1,000 plus. We did about another 120 rounds total through it today. So we'll call it 1,120 rounds approximately through this device. That's a lot of heat, that's a lot of recoil, and it's still going strong. Now, there was some controversy that people keep trying to bring into the chat about, oh, ADR doesn't know what they're talking about, it's not VCSEL, or whatever. The fact of the matter remains that this is a powerful unit. And it's a great looking clone. The controls and functions of the buttons on top have absolutely phenomenal ergonomics for actual use. Whether you're in CQC, whether you're getting all up in it, and if you're doing your hip fire, however you're going to be utilizing your weapon system, the Mawl has a place for your hand to engage and make sure that you've got what you need when you need it. And quite honestly, guys, it gets a glowing recommendation for me. Now, that isn't to say that the QC may not be perfect for every single one. Maybe mine was cherry picked and they sent me the best of the best to make sure it worked. I don't know. But guys, I do know that these guys will stand by their products. You've got a 1-year warranty for holding zero. If it breaks under recoil from a 5.56 rifle, they've got you covered. And unlike those pesky suppressor companies, they didn't put a barrel restriction on that little number. So this 5.5-inch AR has served it very well in testing. Well, we're wrapping up here. It's time to go hunt some pigs. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have questions about it, leave it in the comments below. If you've got questions that are on the technical level, I'll try to answer the best I can in the comments. Until then, I hope you stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment, and share so that algorithm can keep growing. And we'll catch you in the dark next time. Whew. Gotta love that every time. Mag is clear. All right. I don't know.
So is that your Nictia?
Yeah, it's my Nictia.